Sports. When you've got a great ball club. Sports. When you're leaving it all on the field. Sports. When you like your team's chances. Sports. To survive and advance in sports. For the teams you love and the teams you love to hate. Oh, it's Sports Channel 8. Yeah. Sports Channel 8. Hey. Hey. Hey.
It is Sports Channel 8, the streaming show. Coming at you on NCAA Tournament Eve. We are brought to you by Movement Mortgage. You filling out your brackets? It's also a great time to refi, baby. I don't even want to reference world events that may or may not be affecting mortgage rates. Let's just say whatever the rates are, it's always a good time to go see our man Josh Goodson.
If you're getting in bracket pools and you need cash out refi. Do a cash out refi to pull out cash. I mean, that's the most sense thing you could do.
Or hit him up on Twitter at Josh W. Goodson.
It's like selling your textbooks back at the end of the semester.
Exactly. Yeah. That was the best. That literally was the best day. It was the worst deal in the history of deals.
Horrible, pennies on the dollar. But when you're 20 years old, you're like, wow.
And it always.
I know this is $500 worth of textbooks, but I just got $80 back.
Not only that, but it usually worked out where the day you finally do that, classes are done, right? Yeah. And even exams are done. So you immediately are like, I'm going to the bar and I don't have to worry about studying or class tomorrow because that's done. I have all this money now to just go make it rain.
Weed dealers, marked that day on your calendar. Like, do not be dry on book exchange weekend, weed dealers in college. Like, I guess that's something the kids will never know. Are textbooks still a thing? I don't know.
They are. One of my best friends, shout out Dave. He works for a major textbook publisher, and
was there some level of negotiation too, based on like the condition of your book? Because you always thought that maybe more. Yeah. Like, I can get $50 for this thing. It cost me $250, and they're like, I'll give you $30 for that one. Like, fine, take it.
It does seem like based off just like a very limited knowledge that like a lot of these companies have had to like update. They sell products now that are like, online stuff that goes along with the book. So there may be like less selling back of textbooks, right? Because you just get like an access code to some like online portal, which you can't like then exchange that.
The worst also was you bought a book. And for whatever reason, you go to sell it back, and then the textbook people are saying that book is now outdated, and they literally won't accept it back. And it kind of reminded me of like I didn't know that who chose that. And as Buzz Williams would say, who was on the committee? Who was on the committee who chose to make that book obsolete now? Like who did that? So now you're just walking around with a big textbook that is literally worth nothing.
We'll talk about Buzz Williams, the start of the non-NCAA tournament portion of the NCAA tournament.
But look, when UNC athletes bought those textbooks, the same textbooks were also being sold to normal UNC students. Yes. So it was all everything was straight.
We don't do it every time, but let's introduce everyone. Brian Geisinger, ACCSports.com, the BuzzBeat podcast. I don't get your name today. Airbnb host in the transfer portal?
I don't know. Everyone's about to start transferring now. Shout out.
Oh, got you. Yeah. Yes. Hashtag not my basketball, Ben Swain. I know we're going to get to this topic, but you can tell us what that means or another observation from last night.
Yeah, tournament's ruined. Like, there's no sense in watching the tournament. Completely ruined.
We'll tell you why in just a second. We'll start right there. And Mr. might play golf tomorrow, flushing his Dad of the Year hopes down the dream mere days after he went to a daddy-daughter dance from the hospital. Now you're going to ruin it all by playing golf with a 4-day-old in your house, Josh?
We're 6 days into this. Things are going well.
So why not rock the boat?
The biggest key is it would potentially only be 9 holes. It would be at the golf course less than 5 minutes from my house, and it would be in a window that my mom is still here.
Okay.
What I'm learning is it's not so much the new baby that is going to be the crutch on the golf. It's the 3-year-old, and basically saying, "Hey, wife,
Yeah. Well,
I'm leaving for 5 hours, and not only are you gonna have to keep, you have to do the wake this kid up to feed every 3 hours and change diapers, but the maniac 3-year-old who's running around who like now wants more attention than ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've got to find a solution for that. And I think
I have a solution for you, by the way. Take a page from one Earl Woods, and time to start getting your daughter to the golf course.
Here.
And let's create the next golf prodigy of America here.
That's definitely a guy who's never taken a kid to a golf course.
That's also a guy that doesn't have a kid and doesn't go to golf courses.
I see a possible stroller golf bag combo in your future.
I'll do that at least just for the gram.
Because
at least one time.
And you can take the baby like that. I hear your point. Like the 3-year-old is actually more the problem, but you can pretend like you're offering to solve half the problem by taking the baby. When in reality, that's the easier half.
The baby has more, at least right now, more controllables.
Yeah.
You can't walk. You can't talk. Like you're not going anywhere. Like, and usually if you're fed, I know I've got at least like an hour or two of just you being like a zombie and sleeping. So like there's.
All right.
Good to tell your family it's National Take a Newborn to the Golf Course Day, and that you got to.
We'll make that so it won't even be a lie. Like we
just did.
And if we make one of them, we might as well make 4 of them, right? Once take your newborn, take your son.
Take your second child to golf day. Yes, I like that.
Also, I'm going to get real with people real quick, just because we're also about life. But hearing you describe the difference between your newborn and your 3-year-old. It reminds me, we've seen my father cameo on the show before. He needs basically 24-hour care, but I describe it the difference. He's more like a 3-year-old, and I'm like, he's easier when he's acting like a newborn. Like when he just will do everything you say, and he's totally fine and easy to get along with. It's when he starts like pushing back on things that like getting dressed or what either the right way, that you're like, wait a minute, no. If you were just helpless, you'd be easier. You can help yourself just enough to be dangerous. So it's an interesting.
I will let y'all know if the golf happens tomorrow.
All right, please do. Everyone listening to this podcast will be waiting with bated breath.
Pins and needles. Wait, are you going to go golfing when the NCAA? That's the other thing. If you're going to go golfing, you need to sneak it in before games get going too. Then you spend the next 96 hours being like, "Look, I'm here. I'm home," but really, you're just going to be in front of the TV watching.
Well, the 3-year-old's in school from 9 to 11:30.
Oh.
My mom is still here. My mom is not leaving till Friday, so there's a window of the kids taken care of at school. My mom can be here to support Kelly with the newborn, so it's kind of like I'm obsolete at that point. I need to leave.
Yeah. Let's not discuss it, but if anybody's if anybody can give me recommendations on what kind of golf clubs to get, because I just got the green light last night to go buy new clubs.
I saw that.
I looked online for about 30 seconds, and there's just too many options.
There's too many golf clubs. I agree with that, actually.
I just need somebody to tell me, like,
you will hit it straight with this club. Okay, in.
Yeah. We might need to start a separate Sports Channel 8 The Golf podcast, especially if Goodson gets back on the course. He's got plenty to talk about. The ups and downs, new clubs, all of it. All right, let's start with the NCAA tournament. Swain, I'll start with you. Why is the tournament ruined, my friend?
So you turn on the TV, right? And the first thing you notice is the basketball is a hue of orange that you haven't seen since you went to Pizza Hut as a 6-year-old and got the toy basketball as like a gift for getting like the personal pan pizza or whatever.
Is it closer to Clemson orange or like Trump man orange?
It
like
is,
wherever you at.
Hold on, I'm trying to get a picture. Keep discussing.
It's almost like a orangish, whitish kind of like it's not. It might even be orange. Like it's just light, and it looks like it feels like a complete brick in your hands. You can't watch it without seeing like people dribble the basketball and feel like it's coming way up here because it's overinflated. Because if you underinflate it, it will lose air seconds later. And you've also potentially broken the needle off in the little rubber thing that you put the needle in. It looks like every basketball you had as an 8-year-old. I can't. What is that? Cam Hayes has entered the transfer portal. We're breaking news.
BG, like, okay, so look, I'm gonna make this easy for you, BG. Go ahead and have like an article set up, and literally all you have to do is change. It's NC State, but Cam Hayes. You need position, name, and what he averaged last year.
Like
you might have about 3 more opportunities to do that over the next week.
Yeah, there's a couple of programs. Pitt feels like a strong candidate to have.
Sorry, Swing. Keep going.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm all for anything that lets us slander Greensboro Day School. So,
just wait until see if McCorkle enters the transfer portal too, right? And we could have literally have 2 Greensboro Day School guys in there, right?
Exactly. And I just want to point out that I told you that guy would be trash after seeing him in high school, and he ended up being trash.
And it was also very NC State of like last year they had and you don't know what the issues are, but you had Cam Hayes and you had Shaquille Moore. Remember Shaquille Moore? And it's like, one of them left, one stayed, and obviously the one that stayed is like the one that's going to be really good. And by the way, got worse.
Shaq Moore ended up having a nice season.
Yeah, exactly.
We State this year too.
Is Manny Bates going to transfer somewhere, and will he get hurt while he's packing?
I think he for his draft stock he almost has to stay hurt. Like there has to be this. This guy is the best player you've ever seen. And, like, no one's ever really seen it, but it may actually help his draft stock if he is constantly, like, has injury concerns.
All right. It took me a while, but I finally got a picture of our ball there. You see it?
Yeah.
It glows a little bit. It just looks a little funky, weird. I don't know. Hold on.
And teams were shooting terribly last night. And so, it just leads you to believe that the entire tournament is going to be gross because you're playing with a rubber basketball.
It just, I like that. What color is it? You're like, it's just orange. Whereas like normal basketballs are not actually orange. We say orange because that's like the 5-year-old like kiddie ball that we look at. We're like, oh, orange basketball. But like good basketballs that you play with aren't just like a beaming orange.
So based off of Swain's description, it's like this basketball is like everyone gets to experience what it's like to be Caleb Love on the basketball court.
Yeah.
You're just like kind of losing control of your dribble. You're making 25% of your shots.
It's big news for Love because it evens the playing field.
Yeah, it is. I used to like love the do you remember the old like Wilson solution basketball?
Yeah.
It was the one that Duke used to use. Like when I think of like growing up, like I think of Duke playing with that ball. And it was like dark brown, I want to say too. I also
what the color of basketball should be.
Yeah. That also was like when I was growing up, that was probably my second. I was a big like Wilson evolution guy, but the solution was pretty nice too.
One of my favorite things in pickup ball whenever I'm like holding the game ball, whenever anybody asks me a question of like, oh, is that the ball we're using? Whatever. I'm like, I don't know. Like it's just a round object to me. I am not a shooter. Like I am merely trying to, knuckleball this thing in from like 3 feet out on my shots. It does not matter what kind of ball we're using. But yeah, David Schwinter said it's kind of a creamsicle ball. That's a great description. I did not know what I was trying to bring up the Texas A&M Corpus Christi uniforms. I saw somebody complaining about
or as my kids were calling it last night, Texas A&M Community College.
When you put the CC on there, it's hard to tell. But at least one Texas A&M made it to the field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was good.
That's not even the uniform, Perm. They had the ones they wore last night had like a skyline on it.
I got you. It's hard to find pictures immediately.
Right.
Because the NCAA tournament is still the most like absurd when it comes to like when you can show games and take pictures. It's it's obsolete that like TV people can't you can't film
footage now. Yeah.
Or anything, and
it's a little crazy. No, I meant also just from like Googling. If you try and Google someone's uniforms, it's there. It is. It's the community college skyline. There we go. I did think somebody was talking about how schools that used to have the like cursive, their name across the front. There were a lot of schools like that. Was it either Adidas or Nike took that away this year? And so they're like, it just looks like an upset school when you've got like Loyola in cursive on the top of your chest. You're like, watch out for this team. But
or
now
the Retrievers.
Retrievers.
Like,
now I feel like somebody pointed it out and you see it and you're like, yeah, that just doesn't look like a plucky upstart upset school with, whatever the font is that they're using now. But
you don't want to see that cursive team across the court from you. That's your ass if you see that cursive team.
All right, other stuff from NCAA.
Well, the biggest thing I learned last night is that it's actually not weird for a school in Texas to be nicknamed the Islanders. That was my first thought. It's like, how? What?
I was hearing the first part on the radio, and they were like the Islanders, whatever. And I was like, did I change it to hockey? I was like, which of these teams is the Islanders? I don't even know what we're talking about.
But I did the Google Maps for Corpus Christi, and it's like it's kind of like an Outer Banks, man. Like you got barrier islands there, and so fair enough.
So you sign off. Fair usage of the Islanders now.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Steven wants to know if Indiana is now back for winning a play-in game. I don't think so. Indiana, they lost their blue blood status, around like 92, 94? No, I mean, they made a final in the mid-90s, right?
They made a final they made something in the 2000s. Did they beat Duke?
Yeah, the Carlos Boozer got fouled game.
And Maryland beat them. I think it was the Maryland year, right?
Yeah, but they've had too many troubles to be a blue blood, and kind of hurts when you're not blue. Like if they were blue, you'd be able to hold on to that status a little bit longer. But when you're red, it's like so much easier to fade you as a blue blood.
I kind of feel like Michigan football to an extent. It's like,
yeah.
I mean, basketball is a little bit different than football in the terms of like you don't have to just play in the South. But there is something about like it's Bloomington, Indiana. Like, how are you going to continue to get top recruits when Kentucky is throwing around what they're doing and Duke and then so on and so on.
I do think though, I will say this in defense, a couple things in defense of Indiana. One, I have some friends that have spent time, if not like gone to grad school at IU, and have said Bloomington's like a really fun college town.
The textbook rate conversion is great there.
But also, like you saw when they looked like they were going to make a run for Brad Stevens a year ago, right? And it's like you got to remember, like I know that program's maybe been like slightly dormant for a while now, but it's like if Brad Stevens had come to IU and had just like even like a decent season, it would have been the biggest story in that state. Like you can make fun of Indiana if you want to or whatever, but like that program still moves the needle in a way that nothing else does in that state.
Now you're right. I think as a school they may have lost their blue blood status, but that is definitely a basketball state. And
it's just like if you ever got the right person in there is the thing. I mean, like, look, maybe Mike, maybe it'll work with Mike Woodson or whatever.
Aren't there even like Everett Case when he was like starting the ACC and make a basketball thing? Wasn't it partly because he was from Indiana and he was like, I'm going to create that here, and he knew tournament basketball was so big. So like, I've played basketball in the state of Indiana before when I was a kid, and like like the high school, like I mean, you can make all the Hoosiers jokes that you want, and there's some funny ones, but like. Yeah, people hear about basketball in that state, like in like honestly, like probably like an unreasonable amount.
Indiana does have 2 schools in the first 4, so they as a state they are coming back. Mike Woodson shouted out Bob Knight after the game last night, which
wish he hadn't done that.
Little problematic.
Every time I hear Bob Knight name come up, I have to Google, is he still alive?
Is he alive? Yeah.
Is he?
He had that stretch of like the Texas Tech stint and then ESPN. And then literally the day he left ESPN, it was like, it's almost like they have him in some like facility somewhere that no one has access to him.
That's the best place for him. Like they let him coach too long. They let him be on TV too long. It's best for everybody that we don't see him now.
BG, I will throw out one thing about Indiana. Did you see my alumni tweet last night? I was impressed. I was both impressed, but I think it sets up for a problem with Indiana. So the 2 best supporting characters that I can remember in a TV show recently went to Indiana. You've got Ruth Langmore went to Indiana. and Mike Ehrmantraut went to Indiana. So that is a solid cast of alums. But is it a problem that they don't have a main character that went to Indiana, or is it too many supporting players that they can't get over the hump and get back to that blue blood status?
You could be onto something, honestly.
What about? Are you? I thought Mike Pence was kind of a main character in the insurrection. Yeah. He was pretty important there. I don't know.
Speaking of that, did the Buzz Williams rant not give you like Mike Lindell, my pillow guy?
All right.
Actually, I literally have packets of information. If you would want to hear, that is literally a Mike Lindell line. Dude.
Time out, real quick. Time out on the Indiana front. I just did some stats. First four.
We're moving there next.
Yeah. First four, just real quick. It's actually, I looked at the last 10 years, the team that's won their first four games, like obviously two teams win, right? Their first four to make it into the tournament, meaning from the bubble perspective. I'm not counting the 16 seeds, but two other teams get a win in Dayton. Of the last 10 years, 9 of those teams win their next game, right? So either Indiana or the other team who's playing Rutgers or Notre Dame will win their next game. 5 times that team wins 2 games. So I think it's kind of one of those weird things. Would you rather be an 11 seed who's playing in Dayton versus like sitting there being a 5? The stats show you would. So take Indiana to win their next game.
Gambling tips: unders because of the crappy ball, and Indiana to win their next game. You heard it here first. Those are Sports Channel 8 locks. All right, let's move into what BG already brought up. He's not in the NCAA tournament. I didn't know we were going to talk about the NIT, but Buzz Williams seemingly has forced us to because after the NIT last night, Buzz Williams got to the podium, and here's what he said. Sorry, I was a little slow with it.
Hello. How about that ride in? I guess that's why they call it Sin City. You guys might not know this, but I consider myself a bit of a loner. I tend to think of myself as a one-man wolf pack.
All right, sorry, that was not Buzz Williams.
But when my sister brought Doug home, I knew he was one of my own. And my wolf pack.
That wasn't Buzz Williams. This was Buzz Williams last night. Let's see. Share this tab instead.
Because my statement includes all that I'm comfortable sharing. When you're completely absorbed in a worthy cause, you give it all of your time, energy, and emotion.
I mean, I don't even know what parts of this to share.
The sacrifice required prevents you from being aware of anything other than the cause you are devoted to. From Valentine's Day through Sunday afternoon,
all right, let's jump ahead.
Wins for the season.
Congrats on working hard for 4 weeks, by the way.
We found out Sunday afternoon that those numbers weren't good enough to be invited as an at-large team. We were and are completely devastated and heartbroken.
I do want to find the part with the packets.
Knowing that the birds, once they were, so I'm oblivious to whatever reason.
I can't find the part with the packets.
Found personally or not.
Well, regardless, here's the gist. We stood up there. I do like the Mike Lindell, my pillow guy thing. He handed out a packet of stuff that we've since seen on Twitter, basically his information. And I do think the famous line, as Goodson already pointed out, is I only researched, not only did I research the committee, I want to find out the committee who selects the committee. The only thing else before I let you guys jump in on this, if you follow that too far, like if you want to find the committee who selects the committee, okay. If you start selecting the committee who selects the committee who selects the committee, you're going to get killed. Like
you're your hands, bro.
You're running into government secrets and billionaires that you don't want to do with Buzz Williams. So my advice to you is stop asking questions. You might not on the committee who selected the committee, but you don't want to go one layer deeper.
That's what happened to Bob Knight. That's what happened to Bob Knight. He started asking questions he shouldn't have been asking.
Buzz Williams is going to bring down the entire deep state because he wants to know why, like, he didn't get in with the number 30 whatever net ranking for the. We can all agree that bubble teams
they don't win the NCAA tournament, right? Like we end up talking about in reality. I hate to say the 68th best team. It's usually we're into trying to figure out the 35th best team,
Right.
which is fine, whatever. I do sort of agree that I don't necessarily love the fact of you don't know what you need to do to get in.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No,
like I do think there's something to that because there is you can talk about the emotional piece of it, right? Like the NCAA during the tournament, we will see the commercials of, remember, 99% of our student athletes do something besides stay in besides going pro or whatever. So like they're hawking this, they're going to be real world people and they're going to be like, just like you and me. Well, right now they're not. So maybe we give them some sort of a textbook or a here's what you need to do. And I know you're asking, and the answer is, well, don't lose 8 games in a row. Sure. But should that matter? Maybe, but if it's a high major team, if you have a strength of schedule of this, that's not going to be good. Like, so, and if you have and I know it gets into each year's different, but I mean, in football, you have to win 6 games to go to a bowl. Right. You know that. That's and you kind of know which bowl you're going to go to based on how many you win. Like, where you're going to be slotted, and it's good to kind of know that. And so I don't think he's totally wrong with this, just oblivious of one year a team was selected and had these metrics and this particular set of stuff, and the next year that team wasn't selected.
But that's how it is. Like that's what I don't get is that's how it is. Like you have X amount of spots that you can fill. So what happens if X plus 10 of that number?
Yeah, I know it used to be easier when we joked about this a few weeks ago of like, if you won 20 games as a Power 5 conference, you're in the tournament. Like, you're in the tournament. We don't really care who you beat. 20 games is a lot. You did well. Maybe it's something like if you could do it whatever. Hey, if you don't finish 500 in your conference in the regular season, you better go win your damn conference tournament. And
it would be like Wake could easily go back and say the 5th place team in the ACC has never missed the NCAA tournament, but you can't compare history to this year, right? It's like a cut line in golf, right? Like
it changes every week. I get it. Yeah, every tournament
moves up and down, and that's what it comes to. My favorite part of his speech was from Valentine's Day on, because it completely ignored the month before that, where starting on January 19th, lost to Kentucky, lost to Arkansas, lost to LSU, lost to South Carolina, lost to Tennessee, lost to Missouri, lost to LSU again, lost to Auburn. 9 freaking losses in a row in the month that he just excluded.
I do love how he just totally quantified it. Like, yes, Buzz Williams, absolutely. If the criteria were we're only looking at your resume from Valentine's Day on, you guys are in 100%. But like, obviously, we're not doing that. Yeah. BG, did you want to chime in? I thought you had something earlier.
I was just gonna say, like, again, I agree with Goodson. It's like a bit of a black box to know what exactly is being determined, like what's being used to determine the field. There's not like a ton of transparency, and I 100% get being frustrated about it. And like, I think for the most part, I genuinely like when athletes or coaches can be emotional and aren't robotic and don't traffic in cliches and hey, we're looking forward to just playing in the NIT. Like, so to some extent I appreciate it, but one, he leads the conversation. He leads this with him saying he's upset that 12 SEC wins didn't punch his ticket. Which, like, I'm sorry, dude. That's definitely not you could have conference. We've talked about this before. Conference wins are not a criteria that's being used to. Wow, they finished 5th in the SEC. We can't leave these guys out. That's just not part of the process. And then he doesn't mention another number throughout the rest of that, other than to say that he has these binders that he's put together, he's Mitt Romney or whatever. These binders full of information. It's a throwback. And I guess it's just him doing it in this setting. It just comes across as weepy and. Sad and kind of poor. It's an interesting time. It's worth having this conversation,
All right.
And I guess if that's the case, then you should just take it however you can get it. But I don't know. Something about the overall tone of it is just like
it's also
not great.
I want to sneak this in because his team's playing in the NIT, right? Like he's sitting in front of the NIT.
Yeah.
Backdrop talking about how he shouldn't be there. I promise you, the players are 100% focused on. Hey, we got to get. We're still playing basketball, right?
Yeah.
Like they're not like avoiding True TV because they don't want to come across. They're not in that mindset because they don't freaking get an enormous bonus for making the NCAA tournament. Like
that too. Yeah.
That's the reason that we have all these at-large teams.
They don't care about the TV. They don't care about the conference getting more TV money to divvy up if they get another team.
Right.
I do wish, you know how they started unveiling the top 4 seeds, like, a month before the tournament.
Yep.
I don't see why you can't unveil the bottom.
Yeah.
Like, no one cares about the top. Like, no one cares that Gonzaga's the number 1 seed as of February the 14th. We know they're going to be in the tournament.
Yeah.
We know they're probably going to be a 1 seed.
I can tell you right now, Gonzaga is the 1 seed in the West next year.
But like, I would love to. Like the college football playoff rankings do every week and such.
Like the cut line.
I think it'd be pretty cool to know, like, and like you can then at that point, well, why is it like this year and blah blah blah? Like, doesn't matter. You see where you are and you kind of know what you have to do. And if you see your name not moving up, like we watch the college football playoff thing, and it's like every year there's Kent State. Kent State's 8-0 and they beat Minnesota week 1, right? And then but for the first ranking they're 23. And they literally never move up the rest of the year because they're Kent State. But you kind of see where you are, and you're like, well, like, we moved up 21 this week and blah, blah. Maybe that's the transparency that would be kind of and that would make it fun the last month or so.
And it would make Lenardi go away.
And Jerry Palm and all that. Yeah.
The flip is because the person who I thought had one of the biggest gripes, and this is kind of what Buzz Williams is saying, when you start going to, well, this is what you did in the past and using information. The year State didn't make it with Kevin Keats, correct me if I'm wrong, was the first year of the net.
It was.
It used back in the day, it was like, well, we use this person's metric, or we look at this person's metric. We look at last 10 games, which I don't even think is talked about anymore. Buzz Williams tried to bring last 10 games back because obviously he looked good in those.
It used to be like last 10 games and like RPI top 50.
Yes,
kind of like a key.
They didn't have the quads, but they told you, like, here's some things. They didn't tell you how much.
Road game. Did you win road games? Are you top 50 RPI?
When you came out with the net, it sounded like it was supposed to be close to, well, we're telling you basically take out the automatic qualifiers and see who's left and where you rank in the net ranking. And a lot of people said, well, wait a minute. If you're using the net ranking, then why? And we're high in that one. Why are we in?
It's your own tool. Like, it was the NCAA's own tool. That was what you're getting to.
The flip side to a committee is, and if Buzz Williams wants it this way, is just literally, at the beginning of the year, it is, and I'm making these up, but like 20% your strength of schedule, 20% your win-loss, 20% your net, 20% your Ken Palm, 20% your whatever. Again, I'm making those up, but it's literally those things are going to be fed into a computer and spit out, and we're going with them.
It's like you start treating it like you do in school when you get your syllabus for a particular class, and a particular class has like homework is going to be 20% of your grade, and you're going to have 3 exams, and then your final's worth 50%. Yes. And like you kind of know, like as the year goes, and like that at that point, Buzz Williams, after before Valentine's Day, he could be like, "Hey guys, like we have a 0 right now, and literally, I know that you may not agree with me, but winning the next 8 games isn't going to work. We need to win the 4 at the SEC tournament. Like we're not getting in unless we win the SEC tournament." Or
coaches are doing their schedule like TurboTax. Where they're like, all right, they're predicting how they're going to finish, but then like putting numbers in, like, what if we play this team? Like, they will not get to the tournament. Like, you put in, like, oh, what if we play Richmond? They're like, ding, ding, ding.
Trying to get in that green. It does, like, the only thing is that, like, cuts against every, like, coaching cliche of, like, look, we're taking one game at a time.
Right.
Every opponent matters. It's like, there's like 6 of them that matter.
No, I don't think Buzz Williams truly wants it that way. I don't think you want to say out of our control. We're going to put the data in and put it out. And there's a little bit too. I think certainly whether it's actually what people want to see or it's just whether the people that are in power, the committee that selects the committee that selects the committee people. Much like we talk about the technology exists to measure first downs without having stupid chain yards and guys with beer bellies walking out there and pulling them. On high school level, I would say it's necessary. But the technology exists, but the people will tell you, no, there's just TV drama in doing the chain gang and all that it's like partly for the show. Like that's kind of true for the committee too, right? Like it's partly so that ADs can have the honor of sitting on a committee and that we can talk about it and the committee person can give their interview and we can blast them or whatever. But like if we do the formula that spits out the 34 automatic qualifiers, then it's like, no, we don't even need your committee anymore. So
like Texas A&M was the 250 or 240 strength of schedule. Like in the what is that worth? Like, sorry, you only got 7 possible points out of 20 by doing that. Like you better go win now. Now you need to go win 15 regular season games, stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. Other questions. Question for you. All right. What is the let's do this one. People are picking their brackets. They're filling them out. Josh Goodson is what I like to call a bracket whore. He fills out as many as possible and enters as many different pools, and it's a different bracket every time he fills it out. What's your guys' bracket philosophy? How you fill them out, how many you fill out, and if you feel obligated to fill them out the same in each time. Goodson, explain yourself.
I don't feel obligated. So I've answered the last one. I don't feel obligated to do the same one. Like I'm trying to win money is what it comes down to. So, and I've actually turned into like, if it allows, I'll put in at least 2 brackets in a pool, right? And I don't feel bad about that. Like now, if I'm in 5 different pools, I probably will have. There's a good chance I will have the same bracket in a couple pools, but along through the pools. But I don't feel bad about doing it. I'm trying to win money. That's all that really matters. I'm not trying to be the smartest person in the world. You're literally just trying to win money. As far as how I pick it, I'm probably pretty bad. I am pretty bad about picking what I've seen and then using that as a baseline more so than like I don't know anything about Arizona. Like they're a 1 seed and I'm sure they're good, but there's probably a good chance if it looks like, ooh, this looks like this could be an upset, like I probably will pick them to lose for. And that's how I kind of go throughout a bracket. So there's a good likelihood that in a couple of my brackets, I'll have Duke making the Final Four or maybe even winning it all. And then there's sometimes also a little bit of contrarian too. Like I hate you get in big bracket pools and at 90% of the pools, the same 4 teams have it winning it all. Right? I don't necessarily, from a winning the pool perspective, I don't like I lost the pool. I had the Final Four right, and I had the Final 2 right, and I had the champion right, but I lost because I didn't pick the right stuff on Thursday.
Right.
Which is just the random luck situation. So I'll probably, in some of my picking, will try to be either very, very, very chalky because other people will try to do the upsets, or just try to be very sporadic type deal, if that makes any sense.
Swain, bracket integrity, is it a thing?
No, I think Goodson's right. Like the reason to fill out a bracket is to win a pool, right? And so, you're hedging your bet a little bit by filling out different brackets. What I can't get down with is, 14 upsets 3, and people jump on Twitter like, "Oh, I had that," and they got it in one of 7 different.
Right. You can't boast about winning a bracket pool.
That's my take. That's the caveat.
Yeah. So, but I'm 100% fine with filling out multiple brackets. And to Goodson's point, I think the best way to win money in March is to figure out like which 1 seed you think is going to get upset early. Go to their message boards, see if they have a bracket, because all of their fans are going to pick that team to win, and you're automatically like in the top 20 just by picking a different team to win the tournament, because that team's going to get upset early. That'll be the best way to win money. We got crappy ball unders, Indiana to win their next game, and go find a message board. Go find a team.
Go to the Inside Carolina message board and pick Duke. Pick Duke to win.
Yeah, find a team bias pool to get in and exploit. These are
in the Inside Carolina pool, everybody has Duke losing in Greenville. Everybody's going to have it. So if you pick Duke to advance deep and they do, then you're probably going to win a lot of money.
I don't know. Going with your theory of I could see UNC fans might emotionally hedge it, right? Pull against Duke, but pick them to win. So they're like, even if Duke wins, at least I might win my bracket. BG, is bracket integrity? How do you pick brackets? How many do you pick?
Yeah, I usually do 2, but I try not to put too much thought into it at this point because I don't want it to get in the way of like how much I enjoy games.
BG, if you don't do one based on literally how many NBA prospects are on each team and like do each team and like, oh, I know this 1 seed is a 1 seed, but let me tell you, the 16 seed has 2 prospects. The 1 seed only has 1. Yeah. I'm advancing the 16 seed. If you don't have a bracket like that, then what are you even doing?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Fair enough. But I also do one with he's technically my godfather, but we do one. We've done one every year since I was a kid. That he's in a pool up in Michigan that picks it round by round, which is actually kind of cool. Like I kind of like that. So it's like one awful round doesn't completely, or one semi-bad round doesn't like completely like sink your chances. And stuff is weighted differently, so certain games are valued better or more highly. So, obviously you want to do well each round, but I really like that route because it's not like, oh, day 1 and my bracket's busted. I actually really enjoy the round by round approach. And yeah, I've been doing that one for a long time. With just a bunch of like dudes who are dentists up in Michigan.
Nice.
It's like buying mulligans.
Yeah, seriously.
Buy mulligans. Actually, BG, I'm glad you mentioned that because I had a thought that I'm going to do a separate bracket this year that I'm going to do like my normal bracket the normal way, and then I'm going to do a second bracket where I pick the winner at the first TV timeout of that game, and I want to see which one comes out on top because some team's gonna come out and they hit their first 3 threes and I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, put them through and see how that goes.
What about you? How do you
you guys have kind of hit. I'm a combo of some of you guys. Like I don't mind multiple ones, but you cannot be bragging about any of your picks if you've got it picked both ways on some brackets. Like that's part. You have to have integrity in sharing. Oh, I have 6 brackets, and in one of them I had that 14-3. Like quantify what the situation is, right? Yeah. Or there may be one that you felt strong about. I do. I'll get to this in a second. So my second is I do it like BG. I'm like, as quickly as possible do I fill these things out. Like if I research it, I'm only going to madden myself when I research myself out of like something that I might have picked with my gut. You know what I mean? There is occasionally like we'll get to the first round and I'll have lunch with somebody who's like a gambler and be like, did you not see that obvious one where like the 10 seed was a 4-point favorite over the 7 seed based on like metrics? And it's like, sorry, I just went with the higher seed or whatever. But no, I pick it quickly and just totally gut reaction when I see the 2 teams. I think I ended up with Auburn winning somehow, which is like every time I had them in a game, I felt like they were better than the team that I had them playing against. So I just kept rolling with them. But I do it very quickly. I only do one. It's not an integrity thing. I've got a long-standing crew that we do one with, and it's basically turns into trying to come up with the most crude name. In fact, there's a rule that the guy puts it out every year, and there's like rules like, don't hit me up 5 minutes before it starts. Ask me for the login information. One year somebody accidentally filled out the women's bracket, to try to enter the pool, whatever. And the rule number like 19 is the Hayes Permar rule. Have at least PG-13 friendly name, because one year when Virginia was good, my name was Thomas Jefferson Raped Slaves, and the UVA grads got offended by that one. So this year I went with K Recruited Epstein Island, and so that's my bracket name.
How much money? What's the amount of money you are willing to have in bracket? Like not in just one pool, but like spend on brackets. Like, is there a? Because mine is, I have a high risk tolerance, which y'all know, and I think I might be $1,000 committed on bracket pools over the.
I don't think I'd spend more than 20 on any one pool, but I would conceivably get into like 3 $20 pools.
Gotcha.
But I don't know, putting down 100 on a bracket pool. Now, Calcutta is different. Like buying a team, if you get an auction and you're buying, a team, then you might spend some more money. Brackets just feel like as long as the shot as it is for a team to win 6 games in a row, being the best of picking 65 games or 63 games or whatever it is. I like my odds better at Keno, where I always win.
We will not reconvene until Friday unless we go live tomorrow, but UNC is the only ACC team tomorrow. Are we where are we feeling on that? Are we Perm, where are you at on that?
I think I got UNC will not win an odd number of games this weekend. They'll either win 2 or 0. I say if they beat Marquette, they take out Baylor, but Marquette's a coin flip. And I think a Shaka coach team could give them trouble, but we'll see. But if
people would like to know more about Marquette and how they match up with UNC, I wrote a big preview piece that's on sports.com.
The thing I like the most about it is win or lose, more Marquette players will be exposed to the UNC program, so there's a decent chance in the transfer portal they'll come over for half a season and then disappear. So that could go well.
I was sort of hoping your picks to. I'm surprised, Hayes, you have Auburn winning, because I figured you would have maybe tried to get some revenge.
Anti-Kessler
against Walker Kessler, who's had a great season.
He's well rested from last year.
Is
there a game y'all are looking forward to tomorrow besides UNC?
I don't even honestly, I don't know. I did know UNC.
Here's the early, here's how the slate will go. We'll have Greg Gumbel, right, doing the little pregame show, and he was like, all right, we're off to Gamebridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis and Michigan and Colorado State.
It's all right. On this point, is it just me? Definitely Thursday and Friday, but more so Saturday and Sunday. I feel like it's a little deflating coming out of the gate because you expect it to go quad box immediately. You're like, let's start this thing and just rain games. And by like Saturday, it's like there's like a 12:30 game that plays entirely by itself, it feels like. And then like 2:20, like they start staggering them. Be like, wait, I thought I was supposed to get like 17 games all at the same time.
I used to love that. I actually am of the I like the access to all the games. But it was fun, like having to watch the scroll when you had your bracket,
or screaming at the TV for like, why are we still on this 25-point blowout when my team is playing? I do think it's cool. We need to go back. Somebody should do the history of this, of like when the Triangle area and WRAL worked with CBS, and before everybody else, before it was on all 4 cables, and even before other people, I think, were getting more coverage. They were giving us like extra channels on like what's now like Spectrum 223 or all that stuff. Like we were getting that here in a way that I don't think anybody else was, because it was like, yo, we've got to be able to show Duke and North Carolina in this market. We cannot have only half of one of those games shown. And then oftentimes there was either a Wake or a Davidson or a UNCW or somebody else NC State sometimes. Speaking of Wake and Davidson, I got to go to my final thing I think on my agenda, and then I'll see if you guys have anything else. Hold on, I got to switch my sharing tab. Share this tab instead. All right, we had a faux pas in North Carolina politics. My man Ted Budd, running for Senate, currently a congressman.
BG's guy from Forsyth County and
Winston.
He is. Huge Ted Budd fan over here.
Triad guy, Ted Budd, sends out this. It's March, and we're approaching another thrilling NCAA tournament for us North Carolinians. That means Duke, UNC, and Wake Forest are preparing to make a run to the Final Four. Then you'll even notice he's got the Davidson logo down there over his shoulder, along with Duke UNC. So some poor, intern or low-level staffer might be looking for another job. You can't do this.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel bad for that person, but they're probably like the son of or daughter of Ted Budd's golfing buddies, So like, I don't feel bad for any of these people.
Here's my bigger question: is messing up basketball and putting Wake Forest in the NCAA tournament? And again, you're from the area, and Wake Forest is a little bit licking their wounds about not being in the NCAA tournament, and you're meanwhile rubbing salt at them. Is this a bigger or smaller faux pas than Cal Cunningham cooking barbecue with hot dog buns and hamburger buns? Which is the bigger crime against North Carolina?
Well, that was definitely the biggest public mistake he ever made, for sure. Yeah, that's definitely that was the worst thing he did. I'm wondering if maybe the person who was working for Ted Budd was just like, I can't take being around this guy anymore. Let me find a subtle way.
Let me sabotage this guy
away from this person.
Ted Budd and his email director have mutually parted ways.
Cal Cunningham is way worse because he posed for the picture with North Carolina barbecue by a grill, right? Like he posed for that picture. Your guy Bud, on the other hand, just posed for a picture that was then put on a graphic. So,
I tend to agree. I got to agree with Swain here. Like this picture, and just to remind, I mean, look, many politicians could be obscured for many reasons, but this chud here was just the biggest walking, let's check some boxes and roll him out for a Senate run, guys. He's white, he's got a big chin, and he served in the military.
Yeah, he can raise a lot of money. Well, also, it does annoy me, too, because it does feel like these, Democratic national committees that pick candidates to run as Democrats in North Carolina in statewide elections are like, what do these dumb people in North Carolina want? Let's give them a troop,
Let's give them the military, dude.
Yeah.
This guy looks like a less fun. Who's the Kapow guy from
Rob Riggle?
Rob Riggle.
Yeah. This guy looks like it's like Riggle, but not at all. Like Cal Cunningham has never made anyone laugh.
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to picture my grill in my head because I'm pretty sure if you turn the knob all the way to the left, that's off, right?
Yeah.
So is my grill even on?
Yeah.
I love the comment. Did y'all post a comment from Todd? That's the smallest pig cooker I've ever seen.
Yeah. We did. But I mean, it's just, but okay. So Cal Cunningham, still the worst. And Swain had it right. Like you're sitting in that picture with the things around you, and you can't see that that's wrong to advertise that and somebody just handed you an apron that you're putting on over your Cal Cunningham shirt. But again, whether it's Ted Budd's fault or not, I'm not sure we can't be forgotten, and we will be keeping records, and it'll always be remembered who screws up barbecue and who screws up March Madness.
It's March Sadness, and Ted Budd is here.
Yeah, it's also, I'm pretty sure, you can pull that up again, Perm.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that he's legally not allowed to use March Madness in
Now that is a good point. That's a good point.
Also, how many number one seeds do they think are in March Madness? Because here it looks like there's just one. Right?
Also,
March Madness is here, and Ted Budd is number one seed.
Maybe they forgot overall. There's a lot going on here, but they just forgot overall number one seed.
But also the fact that it leaves, when you read it, it sounds like you don't know basketball. Ted Budd is number one seed. That's stupid. I
am one seed.
Anybody who says it would be like, the number one seed, the one seed in whatever is like Ted Budd is number one.
No, so here's what I think. I think
it literally looks like this was sent off to a virtual assistant did this in Pakistan or something like that, and such, or India, right? Because a lot of virtual assistants.
Hey, will you give money to Ted Budd? He is number one seed.
Right.
I think we'll get out of that conversation. I think the initial graphic said is here and Ted Budd is number one. And then somebody read it and they're like, well, no, you got seeds. And they put seed, but they didn't fix anything else.
Yes. Since it's the primary, they couldn't put Ted Budd's in your final four. No shit. Like that. That's not an accomplishment.
Last 4 in.
Anything else? We've gone too long we'll have to bring it up another time, but with Harold Varner en route to the Masters, we will debate the top 5 ECU of all time at some point. Goodson thinks he's got a list, but Swain's got some additions. And I just learned Bob McKillop went to ECU. Started at ECU, but then transferred somewhere else to play. I thought ESPN had this. It was a pretty cool ranking the coaches of the 68 teams as players. With like Penny Hardaway was like number 1. And then like I think Bruce Pearl was the worst. Like didn't even play middle school basketball. He played football, meathead Pearl.
Well, I'll just real quick, because I want to put this in Goodson's wheelhouse and let him own this conversation. When you start talking about like famous alums, you skew towards sports people, right?
Right.
So Harold Varner, David Garrard, like all those came up. 2 people that went to ECU that have nothing to do with sports. The dude who founded Golden Corral.
Yep.
Went to ECU, and the dude who created TRL on MTV went to ECU.
That's incredible.
And look, if TRL doesn't put that guy at the top of your list, because who didn't plan their entire day around freaking Carson Daly and TRL back in the day?
Yeah, look, that guy spent 47 weeks straight as the number 1 alum from East Carolina University.
All right, this debate will continue over multiple podcasts. So
also the Avid brothers, ECU alums as well too.
Got a lot. I feel like ECU might lead the league. Like we're gonna have to come up with rules because Buzz Williams wants transparency. But like you don't have to graduate to be an alum. You just you get a cup of coffee at a school and you count, right? And I feel like ECU might lead the league in people who like spent time there but didn't graduate. That's
they have 4 Pulitzer Prize winners that went to ECU, and I don't believe you.
And one of their top 5 alums of all time has to be that president who got fired at their video footage of him going out and.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
But then it got found that it was all like a setup. Like people were trying to catch him, and he was like a man of the people. That guy's a great ECU.
He also claimed Dave Odom, which I have a beef with because I went to Gilbert College. And Dave Odom went to Gilbert College.
I mean,
one more bracket thing, and the only reason I bring it up because I was watching SportsCenter this morning from Scott Van Pelt last night, and he was talking to someone and then mentioned at the end, "I've got Iowa in the Final Four. Don't do that. It's Iowa. They're not making the Final Four. There's advice. We do this every year. Like, we just know. Like, they're not going to win. They're not going to make it to the Final Four. I don't care if they have the best player in the Big Ten, whatever."
Is Iowa in Auburn's region? It
doesn't matter. They're not making the Final Four.
If you're not in Auburn's region, I might have them making the Final Four.
You're wrong, and you've wasted a Final Four pick, and I'm sorry that you have started. The tournament has not even started yet, and you only have 3 Final Four potential left.
I hate me some Fran McCaffrey, but I don't know. It was just, again, I don't think about it. I just pick quickly, okay?
You can use whiteout, which is actually just writing the word Iowa is the same as whiteout. So.
All right, we might go live if something crazy happens. Otherwise, we'll be back here Friday. Iowa gets beat by Kansas. See, I think I may have Iowa coming out of the Kansas region.
I hope we do go live tomorrow because something crazy did happen.
Well, UNC blowing out Marquette. If it happens, you'll hear it here on Sports Channel 8. We might even drop a song tomorrow. I was going to give you my song nominees. We've gone too long. For Ben Swain, Brian Geisker, Josh Goodson, enjoy the tournament, folks. Keep it tuned to Sports Channel 8.
Sports, when you've got a great ball club. Sports, when you're leaving it all on the field. Sports, when you like your team's chances. Sports, to survive and advance in sports. For the teams you love and the teams you love to hate. Oh, it's Sports Channel 8. Yeah. Sports Channel 8.